Marking and cutting of fabric for kameez with lining. Now that we have constructed the pattern for a kameez, drafting the pattern on fabric will be an easy task. At the end of the session, you will be able to mark pattern for a kameez on fabric, cut fabric for a kameez, cut lining piece for a kameez. Let's first familiarize with the tools and materials required for marking and cutting the pattern for a kameez. They are measuring tape, tailor's chalk, pattern square, French curve, shears, fabric for kameez, and 2 meters of matching lining fabric. First, let's see how to fold fabric for a kameez. If you were to buy loose fabric from the shop for stitching a kameez, fold the fabric such that the selvage becomes the length of the garment and the width of the fabric becomes the width of the garment. We will again fold the fabric to the required length and width of the kameez. We get 2 folds, one fold for the front and the other fold for the back of the kameez. This part will be the neck portion and this will be the shoulder portion of the garment. This is the fabric for a kameez available in shops. This is the front piece of the kameez. Fold the fabric lengthwise. The fabric for our kameez has a neck design and a border design. In this case, as the border design is the selvage of the fabric, it will be the width of the garment. This is the neck design of the fabric. This is the back piece of the kameez. Fold the back piece and place it over the front piece. This will be the neck portion and this will be the shoulder portion. Now let's draft the pattern on the front fabric piece of the kameez. First, we will correct the folded cut edge of the fabric with a pattern square. Now fold the portion of the neck design exactly at the center. This is the pattern we had constructed in the previous session. We will change the view of the pattern for the convenience of drafting. This is length 01. Ensure that it has a length of 42 inches. Mark 112 as 13.5 inches. Mark 02 as 6 by 4 inches. Next, mark the waist length 03 as 17.5 inches. From point 3, measure and mark 8 by 4 inches. This is point 4. From point 0, measure and mark 7.5 inches to the right. This is point 5. Now again from point 0, measure and mark 3.5 inches. This is point 6. Now from point 0, measure and mark 3 inches downwards. This is point 7. This is for the back neck opening. For the front neck opening, again mark 5.5 inches downwards. This is point 8. From point 2, measure and mark 10 by 4 inches to the right. This is point 10. Join points 2 and 10. Draw a line from point 5 such that it meets line 210 at point 13. Now from point 3, measure and mark 9 by 4 inches. This is point 11. Join points 3 and 11. Join points 10 and 11. Also join points 11 and 12. Now from point 5, measure and mark ½ inch downwards. This is point 9. Now join points 6 and 9. This is the shoulder slope. We will now find the midpoint of line 913, which is 3 inches. This is point 14. From point 14, mark ½ inch inwards. This is point 15. We will now shape points 9, 14 and 10 for the back armhole. Now shape points 9, 15 and 10 for the front armhole. Shape points 7 and 6 for the back neck opening. Also shape points 8 and 6 for the front neck opening. As our fabric has a border design, we cannot shape the bottom of the garment. So we will measure and mark 19 inches from the border for the slit of the kameez. To be able to use the neck design better and to give the neck a better shape, we will make some change to the front neck opening as shown. Now we will cut the fabric along the drafted lines. For cutting the back piece, we will first cut along the back neck, shoulder slope, back armhole and the side seam. As we have drafted our pattern as per the exact body measurements, we will leave an additional allowance for threads fraying from the fabric. So we will mark between ½ to 1 inch seam allowance from the drafted lines along the side seam line. Now we will cut the back piece of the kameez. For this, cut along the drafted lines. We will now make a copy of the back piece. For this, take the back piece of the kameez and fold it along the length of the fabric. Mark the total length of the kameez as 42 inches. Now place the cut back piece over the folded fabric and cut close to the back piece all around. We have cut fabric for the back piece of the kameez. To cut the front piece of the kameez, cut along the front armhole line and the front neck opening. We've cut the front and back piece for the kameez. The remaining piece of fabric can be used for cutting the sleeves of the kameez. This is our pattern for the sleeve of the kameez. We will change the view of the pattern for the convenience of drafting. We will cut both the sleeves together. For this, fold the remaining piece of fabric such that we get 4 layers of it. The sleeve width of our kameez is 9 inches and sleeve length is 5 inches, but we will need to add an additional allowance of ½ inch for threads fraying from the fabric. We will first draw a straight line to get a square shape. This is line 02. From point 2, measure and mark 3½ inches. This is point 4. Join points 0 and 4. Now find the midpoint of line 04, which is 5 inches. Shape the back armhole ¼ to ½ inch upwards as shown. Also shape ¼ inch downwards from the midpoint for the front armhole. Now from point 3, measure and mark 1½ inch downwards. This is point 5. Join points 4 and 5. We will first cut along the back armhole. About midway of the sleeve, snip a little corner off to indicate the front of the sleeve. We will now cut along the front armhole. We've cut sleeves for the kameez. We will now cut the lining piece for the kameez. Fold the lining piece such that the width of the fabric is the width of the garment. Also ensure that you get 4 layers of it. This side has 2 folds, one for the front of the kameez and the other for the back of the kameez. Now place the front piece of the kameez over the lining piece as shown. Cut along the shoulder slope, armhole, side shape and the bottom shape of the kameez. We get 2 lining pieces. We will now cut the lining piece for the sleeve of the kameez. For this, fold the lining piece such that you get 4 layers of it. The length of the fabric will be the length of the sleeve and the width of the fabric will be the width of the sleeve. Now place the cut sleeve piece over the lining piece. We will cut along the outline of the cut fabric piece. We get 2 lining pieces for the sleeves of the kameez. In this session, we have marked and cut fabric for a kameez with lining. Before we conclude, let's take a look at the key steps involved in marking and cutting fabric for a kameez with lining. Step 1. Fold the fabric lengthwise. Step 2. Mark the full length, waist length, shoulder line, front and back neck opening and the chest line. Step 3. Shape the back neck, front armhole and back armhole curves. Step 4. Mark the waist width, side seam and the slit for the kameez. Step 5. Cut along the back neck opening and back armhole and make a copy on the back piece of the kameez. Step 6. Cut along the front neck opening and front armhole line of the first cut piece to get the front piece of the kameez. Step 7. Draft and cut sleeves for the kameez. Step 8. Cut lining piece for the kameez. With that, we've come to the end of this session.